Hey, this is Michael Lindsay. I'm out here in St. George, Utah at Sand Hollow. I've actually been here for a works race before, and that was on two-wheel equipment. Instead, we're playing around with four wheels. I guess probably if I'm going to go do a four-wheel test, it's probably the best crossover I could do. I've tested everything dirt-related on two wheels that Honda's put out in the last 7 years, so I might as well cap it off going with a motocross-based company if we're going to go play around four wheels. And, that's really where it comes to me with this product. I think that's interesting. Grew up in the desert, grew up in the sand dunes with friends. Yeah, I got a lot of people, a lot of family members, a lot of good buddies that do these days that play around side by sides. And look, the product's fun. I've driven pretty much everything out there, at least for an hour or two playing around. But it's a different experience. I love dirt bikes because of how involved the experience is. And I jump side by side, and while they're fun, it's a lot of them out there are just punch and go. I feel fairly disconnected. While it's a good experience, I know there could be so much more. And I really feel like that's probably the best place to start with this Talon. Is I think you guys have nailed a range of experiences with this product that's not really out there yet.
Yeah, that's right. So, a lot of guys that are buying side-by-sides these days come from a moto background. Myself, I worked at Honda R&D for years as a test engineer, developing CRFs and CRFXs, and a few of the other guys on the test team also come from that same background. So, we love moto, we love riding dirt bikes, but we wanted to take that two-wheel experience and put it into a side-by-side. That saying, with age comes a cage, and a lot of the guys that are buying side-by-sides these days, they come from that moto background. They may have stepped away from it for a little while, started a family or something, and now they want to get back out in the dirt again, but they're at a different life stage. They got family, and they got to have a second seat. They got to be able to take people out and share that experience. So, it starts with the look. If you look at this machine, it kind of has that profile of a CRF with the high front and rear fenders. And then, taking it a step further, we really wanted this bike to be, like you said, or this side-by-side.
That's how much we love bikes.
Yeah, to be more involving and engaging when you drive it. So, we worked on the handling a lot to give it like a ton of feedback, real positive steering, but then we've got that 6-speed dual clutch transmission, which allows guys like us that are moto guys to be able to shift it. And, that's a big part of riding a bike, is just the sound of the engine, revving through the gears, pulling off quick shifts, and then having that control to select whatever gear you want whenever. So this DCT Trans, you can run it in automatic, but we also have a sport mode that brings the shift points up, makes it more aggressive feeling, makes it downshift quicker. But then we got full manual, so then you're completely in charge. So you get to control upshifts, downshifts, everything. And it's a full manual. If you choose to get into the rev cut, it's just going to sit there and bounce off the rev cut. So
I would say the powertrain itself is what interests me. It's based off what's in the Pioneer 1000, the Africa Twin, and just talking about the DCT. I did a test last year where I took an Africa Twin, the standard manual, and the DCT, and rode them back to back. And being a hardcore moto guy, I'm like, I'm gonna want to shift it. I'm gonna want my clutch. That's me. I was actually super impressed with the DCT overall, mostly because it was so much more intelligent than I thought it would be in sport mode. It doesn't shift as you think. I was surprised how aggressively it would actually run the system and how often it did stuff at the same time I would. So I think that makes this really cool. You're saying it's like, from the most basic person jumping in this that maybe doesn't, that wants more of a basic driving experience or is just playing around, and then go for the full auto. You can take over the full manual, but that sport auto, yeah, you can override it on the downshifts, like you said, to be more aggressive in our braking, but the upshifts, will run it right up almost to the rev limiter, and it'll actually, I think, really impress people how well it thinks for itself, per se.
Yeah, so there's a lot of logic in that transmission. It's always looking at how you're driving in the moment. So it's looking at how much throttle is open. It looks at how fast you're hitting the throttle. It also looks at engine speed and vehicle speed. So it's looking at whether you're driving aggressively or not. And if you're driving aggressively, it's going to upshift at a higher RPM and downshift at a higher RPM. So it's always kind of looking at what you were just doing and kind of tailoring the shift points to what's going on at the current moment.
So talking about this actual model itself, so, like I said, coming from the dirt side, Honda's been making a big push the last couple years. We had 7 CRF-style models last year. Some were brand new, never existing models, a lot of updates. Just period in the last 3 to 4 years, as I would say the economy spec, Honda's really put a big push into so many product lines. Like I said, if you're a side-by-side guy, and you're just seeing Honda entering, that looks cool. But if you know the history of what else they're doing in so many different ranges, there's a lot of aggressive push from them. And I think one of the biggest things of having a brand that's this big in the market is how well you guys plan ahead. Like, I know something like this isn't a year or two in development. This is 5 and 6 years. And when you guys commit to something as well, it's not a flash in the pan. It's definitely a test. It's your first foray, but it's not a test like we might leave. Like, you guys have years and years of schedules beyond this. So when you're coming in with these two, yeah, it's these two now, but there's definitely a roadmap per se, and definitely an aggression we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. So the Talon 1000X, which we have one over there, and then this Talon 1000R, these are our first entries into the sport side-by-side world. You know, a few years ago we started in multi-purpose side-by-side. Now we've got several different models there. Number 2 market share. We've made a big footprint there, and now we're moving into sport, and these are just our starting point. We plan on having more exciting new models coming out over the next few years.
And I think another side of it is, like, I'm not trying to discredit any other brand out here. I'm just dealing off minor personal experiences with friends, products. Like, I've seen a lot of brands. Friends break a lot of stuff. I'm used to from the moto side. Honda has a pretty big reputation from automotive and moto for the quality of the product itself. You know, like I said, you guys are stepping in from the suspension chassis side. There's a lot of new here. The powertrain is stuff you guys have. It's proven. That's a great starting point. Like I said, I see something like this being very dependable per se. Your warranty is really good. So, like I said, there's a lot new here, and some stuff you guys are carrying in that already has. I mean, somebody can feel really comfortable grabbing this style product, even though it's per se a new foray for you guys. There's quite a bit of stuff in there that's pretty proven.
Yeah, that's right. So the engine comes from our CRF, or sorry. It comes from the shared platform with the Honda Pioneer and also the Africa Twin, but that engine does use the familiar CRF Unicam cylinder head. So really high performance, proven system there. And then, you know, you were talking about our durability, reliability. We've carried that right into the Honda Talon as well. And again, talking about guys with moto experience, like, we're used to being able to get on the gas, get up on top of the whoops, hold it pinned, and you don't have to worry about like a chain exploding or something like that. So we really wanted to carry that into this vehicle as well. This is a vehicle you don't have to worry about blowing up a belt. You don't have to worry about breaking axles and buckling drive shafts. Like, we want this to be like that awesome off-road experience where you can just go out and ride and not worry about it.
So I think the last thing to touch on a little bit is kind of what I said earlier about the roadmap style thing is just, you know, where the product is. I'm sure there's people that look at this because the market's been growing the last couple years. It's one of the main reasons you guys are interested in the sports segment. Yeah, there are competitors out there that have higher horsepower options, turbo models, stuff like that. You guys approach this somewhat statistically. What we see right here, a naturally aspirated 2-seater in these two combinations, is actually the most popular sales value. I'm sure, like, I have a lot of friends on West Coast. They're looking at bigger options. That's not, it's popular here. That doesn't mean it's popular countrywide. You guys are starting in the most popular segment. It'll give you the most feedback, most range. But to give people an idea of, like, so what Honda does in moto, there's quite the range. Take a 450 platform, and it's grown into 4 different models now. So that's kind of what I'm getting at, is it's there's a good commitment here with this initial product. That's good, but there's definitely, you know, you guys are in this for the long run, I guess I should say.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You know, we just kind of take it systematically with sport side by side. We looked at the market, we looked at the sub-segments of sport, and we chose to jump into the one that had the most volume and the most customers that we could share the awesome Honda experience with. So starting there, we plan to go in there, capture a good chunk of market share, have a lot of fun with a lot of customers, and then just keep building on that momentum.
Last one for you. How long has this been in the works?
So, I mean, we get that question a lot, and we never put like a specific number of years or anything onto it because there's so many factors that go into how long it takes. You know, there's economic factors, there's business factors, there's company politics, there's a lot of things. So we've been at this for a while, and we didn't cut any corners or take any shortcuts.
I just know from a personal conversation, it's at least, I'm just gonna say it. It's got to be at least 4 based on a conversation I had with somebody. I know you guys definitely. So that's what, like, mine is yeah. Some of the brands in here are a little bit different, maybe size or boutiqueness. You guys aren't always the first market, but you definitely do your homework when you do it. There's definitely just a lot of homework behind something like this, and it's cool to see like I said, the commitment side, because like I said, coming from the dirt side, knowing what the brand is, I know what it's capable of. So congratulations finally getting this thing out here.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I'm glad we could have you out, and can't wait to get out and tear up some trails with you on this thing.
To learn more about the Honda 1000R and 1000X from my experience driving them at their intro, I'll be putting out 2 videos next week. When they come out, the links will also be placed below this video. Also, make sure you hit the subscribe icon to keep up with all the motocross and off-road related product testing we're going to be doing on this channel. And also, if you need some motocross, side-by-side, accessories, parts, whatever, shopmoto.com, throw in the code ML512 at checkout, and it'll save you a few dollars.